the island that they were moving to. Few years later, they have to move them out of that island again. So there's no one leaving that island. So right now they kind of like people from Bikini and Enuada, Rongelap and Romerik, Rongelap and Uterik, they scatter everywhere.
I noticed they moved to the northeast. I think, was that because of the fallout?
Yeah. So China, there's stories of those that started to come here, move to Haiti, and most of them were from Bikini Atoll. So the bomb was still continuing for another few more years until 1957. That's when the bomb was ended. People were affected, radioactive, jellyfish baby were born, food were contaminated, and the ocean, the fish, and most of the resources that we used to live with, they're no longer available for those people that they dropped the bombs. So there were times that the U.S. say that it is safe to go back home now, but after the people left, they were told again that no, go back to where you're from again. The highlands are not safe yet. So Bikini, Rongelap, Romerik, they still know people live in those islands. And now, after the bomb test, then the U.S. says, okay, we need to work with the Marshallese government or the people to see if we can help them with the issues. Because right now, after the bomb testing, health issues was going up. Diabetes, so many things that we never expected before, they started to came out from nowhere. So what is called the Compact of Free Association, it began in 1986. So what the compact does is it allowed the Marshallese people to use our passport. We don't have to apply for visa to come to US, but we can come, and it says under the compact, we're permitted to come to US to find job, like here, leave, work, find education, and time restraint. That's mean we don't have any timeline to go back. And we're allowed to stay in the US according to the Compact of Free Association. In return, the US military, one of the US military base is right now in the Marshall Island of Kwajalein Atoll, and it's named after President Ronald Reagan. So that's one of the places in the Pacific Island that is very important to for the military base. But then that's one of the reasons why you will see many Marshallese are traveling to U.S., coming to Oklahoma, go to Arkansas, Hawaii, and Oregon, and other places around the U.S. because they are taking the privilege for the Compact of Free Association. So we're different.
That's the original compact.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we don't have any limits to stay in the U.S. So there's a story. Go ahead.
But they can't vote.
I will come to that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
I have a
when
slide.
it's renegotiated. That's why I specified
yeah.
this is the original one.
Okay.
I have a slide that we'll discuss
Okay.
about that. Thank you for bringing that up. In 1976, I put it right there, is an Highland girl goes to mainland. So when I talk about Highland girl goes to mainland, there's a story behind why we are here in Enid, why Marshallese are here in Enid. It all began in Phillips University. Not sure how many of you have been there, but when I moved in, I did not see that. It's only North NOC. But folks at the library gave me some background of what Phillips University was like. So that's how I dig more information and try to do more research. So there's a story behind that, why who was the first Highlander girl that came to Enid, to mainland. But then these are the main purposes of why we travel around the world. Education, religion, employment, and health. For example, to Oklahoma. That's why we're here, some of them. So back in 1945, the U.S. Navy, Dr. Allen was stationed on Kwajalein Atoll. That's right after the war. So they were asking if any of them want to stay more longer as a volunteer. And he was wanting to be a doctor for the Marshallese on Kwajalein. So he stayed there, and for there, he has 3 kids, but they were born in the U.S., but then went back again to the Highland. And one of the kids' name was Hallis. One of the child was named Hallis. And Hallis chose Phillips University in 1950s. So she came and attended Phillips University in 1950s. And then he met this handsome man, Eldenburg. And then they met in 1952, and then married in 1955. And then they wanted to follow their Alice's dad. So they chose a mission that her dad chose, is to go back to the Highland. So they went to one of those Highlands like Koshrai, and being in the Highland on Ipai and Marshall Island for 13 years, Hallis was able to speak Marshallese fluently. So this photo right here are the very person that translated the Bible from English to the Marshallese, the Bible that we have today. So Hallis, who graduated from Phillips University, helped translate the Marshallese Bible from English to Marshallese. So they combined kind of like a group of church leaders to work on the translation and before they disseminate to other congregation. And the lady with, that's Alice, and the white one. Someone was asking me, which one? I'm sorry.
But they were Christians long before
Yes.
these people came. So how did they, could they read any Bible in any language before?
No. Hallis was able to learn Marshallese and then able to organize this translation committee and translate the English version into Marshallese version.
So they just learned Christianity orally before they got the Bible, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
So what happened is, in 1970, Eldon was called to be the chaplain for the Protestant church on Kwajalein Atoll. And 1977, that's the Highlander lady that moved to mainland. Lauren is the daughter of Hallis and Heldon. She's an American, but when she registered at Phillips, she was registered as an Highlander. But she wasn't born back in the Highland, but because she was in love with the people and loved the culture and loved the Highland, when they asked for her nationality, she said, I am a Marshallese student. So that's the first one. But in 1981, the very first Marshallese enrolled in Phillips University. How that happened, that scholarship right there was organized by Hallis and Eldenburg. So they sponsored one of the Marshallese first kid to come to attend Phillips University here. So after that, more people coming to Oklahoma. From the Pacific Highland to the Oklahoma Plains. Marshallese in Garfield County today, there are almost 3,500 people. And I am only talking about Marshallese in Enid. We also have Marshallese in other counties like Oklahoma City, Comanche, Tulsa, and McCurtain. We have 12 Marshallese churches here in Enid, and in Enid.
Ten more than that.
Just only here in Enid. So there is 12 of them. So the picture right there, I put it because it's an historic picture. The church on North Enid is called the First Marshallese Assemblies of God Church. It's the first church in the entire U.S. of the Marshallese that was established. And same preacher is still there.
Wow.
Yeah, it is so unique.
So when you're talking about the Marshallese, you mentioned 5 other categories earlier on. Are those kind of incorporated?
No.
So
No.
you're talking
So you're
Marshallese.
just
so
Just the Marshallese, yes.
When you say there's 3,500, that's
Only
just
the,
from Marshall?
just only the Marshallese.
Gotcha.
But if I to count the others, I might have, the number might be
Be a
high.
lot higher.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oklahoma is like home for us, for me also. So we dance, we go to school, we go to the first birthday party. If you haven't been to one of them, please come. You will enjoy it. There's lots of food, and then they give you something when you go home. They always give anyone come to our birthday party like gifts, so you can go home with. Students, we have in high school, Enid High School is one of the biggest one in the entire state. Longfellow is the second one, and Carfield Elementary School is the third one. So these are the very most Marshallese student goes to. Now, living in Oklahoma, we thought, for me, when I moved to Oklahoma in 2007, I was so excited when my in-laws called me and say, hey, be ready next week, you're coming to America. I was like, yay, I'm going to America. But guess what, I never knew that there's going to be many doors, so many doors for me to open. So jumping on the plane in 2007 was a very good experience for me. And I stayed there, I stayed in Enid for first year and second year. I knew that there are so many challenges. For me, for example, I have to find a rental house for myself and my family. Second one, I need to bring my family from overseas to Enid. Third one is when mom was moving to stay with me, I noticed that she needs some health care. But there are so many challenges still ahead of us. So too sick to go home, that's my saying. And too poor to get better. So when we moved to Oklahoma, for example, there are other issues that we face today. Health, immigration status, education, employment, and housing. So some agencies, sometimes when they don't understand how we structure and our culture, sometimes it's really against their policies. But for us, because we don't really understand their policies, we thought it's okay. So there is still here today some kind of a wall, and I really want to break that wall that will divide the diverse between us and them. Janet.
You know, it's hard for me to stay silent, but I don't want you to run out of time before you talk about the renegotiation of the compact.
Sure.
Because that's so important for people to know, and I know you're getting low on time.
I got two
That's
more
very
slides.
critical. Okay, okay.
Thank you, Janet.
I love Janet all my life. She always be by me. Whenever I go, she's following me. So. She's my white mama. So go back again. Health issues is 2016. We hauled when all the Micronesian in Enid and also other places in Oklahoma. We went to the capital, state capital, And that was on March 1st, May something in 2016. So the purpose of our movement was to, because there was a bill that was introduced by our former Senator Anderson, and that bill was to ask if Oklahoma can, in conjunction with the OSDAs and other agencies, to help the Marshallese on expanding the Medicaid program. As of today, we still work and pay our taxes both to the state and federal, but we are ineligible for the Medicaid program. So for me and my mom, speaking of my mom, I have to go online 2 years now to apply for Affordable Care Act so she can have insurance. So I am digging out of my own pocket to pay for her health insurance. But she is not eligible for Medicaid, and she is also ineligible for Medicare because she hasn't been working in the U.S. So that's another issue. And immigration status, we send our kids to the public school, like every public school here in Enid, but when it comes to the bond issue, we cannot vote because we're not a U.S. citizen. But one thing that really bothered me, because once you guys vote for the what do we call the small computer? Chromebook. We did not vote on that. But then our kids take home Chromebook with them. When I asked the people that are in control of the voting issue, they said, it's not our issue, it's the state issue, because you're not U.S. citizen, you cannot vote. But we try to promote the voting, but we cannot do it. So that's our immigration status. I try to apply to be an officer, to be the first Marshallese officer in Oklahoma, and I learned so many things that I need to pass the test. But then when I submit my paper, I cannot because I was not a U.S. citizen. But tomorrow, if I travel to Oregon, I can be an officer.
What kind of
Police officer.
Police officer. Yeah, police officer.
Because they can serve in the military.
But they do serve in the military, and we are one of the biggest number in the military to protect the peace. And
We have several Marshallese veterans here in Enid.
yeah, my brother was retired 2 years ago, and he left yesterday. He visited our mom, but then he fight for the war for almost 23 years. So that's one way that they can be a U.S. citizen, to apply for the military, and then you have to marry a U.S. citizen, or you have to apply for a U.S. citizen, which I tried, and I'm still fighting almost 3 years now. So employment, housing, and education are almost the same issue. And main thing is our immigration status. In 1996, the Medicaid program, when they talk about it, that was under the Bill Clinton's administration. They accidentally take us out from that Medicaid program, but we used to be in that Medicaid program, but not after 1996. Climate change is real, so.
I have a question for you. So then are Marshallese concerned about the current political status, if that's going to change anything in the future about being legal residents here versus being deported and that kind of thing?
That's one of the things that we established, the Micronation Coalition. And under the Micronation Coalition, we have the political or policy subcommittee, political policy subcommittee, and those are some of the focus that they will try to work on.
One of the things that we've looked at is, for instance, in Oregon, a couple of years ago, they expanded Medicaid to include the COFA people. And in Arkansas, last year, they expanded their Medicaid to include the COFA kids.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Not adults, but kids. So there are some other states that are making progress there, not Oklahoma.
So we're trying our best to see if we can get those kind of help. So that video right there, you can write down the website and watch it later on. And that video really explains the climate change, how that affect the community and the people of the Marshall Island. Good.
I'm sorry, I think it's just important to say that Oklahoma specifically doesn't include the Micronesian population under their health care coverage for the health, for Medicaid.
Yeah,
So
that's-
all other populations, even people who are here illegally, are eligible after a certain amount of time, except for the Marshallese who are specifically
They're
not
specifically
included.
excluded from things like food stamps also.
Yeah, thank you, Allison. Thank you.
Yeah, it's specifically excluded.
So, these are some of the articles and the thing that you can find about me and the job that I do with the community. They're online available. You can go and read more about the things that we face today. The Compact of Free Association it got no ending. We don't have any ending for it. But what does will be in 2023 are the funding that fund our government. So after 2023, U.S. no longer helped our country, but we still can come and go. One thing that really scared me right now is if it's in 2023, it might affect our FAFSA program to apply for the federal aid grant. As a Marshallese, they might, I don't know, but that's one thing that I'm scared about.
And that would affect the ability to have higher education.
Yes, yes. And lastly, I have this quote right there, Martin Luther King's prophetic last speech. I have been to the mountaintop, and for me, I have been to the mountain foot, but not even closer to the slope. So, in our language we say, Komol Tata. That means thank you very much.
That's my one of two words I think.
Do you mind, we have just a couple of minutes, maybe time for a question or two. Would anyone have a question that's just kind of burning that they would like an answer to?
I'd like to point out that Terry is an Olympic gold medalist.
Terry is an Olympic gold medalist, okay?
Yes, he
Okay,
is.
I need some
Tell
explanation.
us about this.
Threw you under the bus.
That's why I asked Jolie to close the door. Make sure you don't come in. I've been an Olympian for the country 4 times. And
For what?
Olympian, both for sprinter, under 200 meter dash and 400 meter dash. So we got our gold medal in 1994, and I didn't bring it with me. I was one of the fastest guy in the country. So.
Taylor,
Yes.
I think if you would introduce Jolene so that people can understand, she's the one who teaches the diabetic classes and some
Okay.
other classes in Marshallese.
Okay. Joe, do you mind doing an introduction for us?
Jolie, come on.
Jolene Carbon.
Hi, Jolene. Thank you.
I had Jolene if she wanted to join me, and we're gonna sing a short version of the Marshallese song before you guys go. And make sure you guys, when you go, grab anything on the table, and my business card is right there. So
And they're wonderful singers. They're wonderful.
So the music is about how we gathered today, and as a group, we had fun. So.
How do you all do with the cold here? How do you do with the cold weather?
We thought the highs are falling down. The white thing are almost like ice cream. We're coming along. We're trying to adjust to the weather.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Thank you.
If anybody's interested in joining the Micronesian Coalition, let some of us know.
I feel like you're being knighted or something.
I feel like I'm being knighted too. My gift is not anywhere near as good as this. So I thank you, Terry.
Yay.
Thank you all for coming today. I really learned a lot, and I appreciate it. Reach out and try to do something for the Marshallese community, please. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to case for you. What we might do that. If you would like the PowerPoint that Terry provided, please email me. I will give an email address to everyone, and you can email me, and that way I'll distribute it for Terry. Terry can share it with me. Thank you.
Do you want me to just email it so my requester, or you want me to just? I did, but I didn't write it. I'll go write it down. Okay.
I emailed you from Facebook.
I'm good.
And I'm friends. Like I emailed.
Wow, there you are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't ever get there. Yeah.
You do it?
Oh, are you, when's the next time you're going to do this?
Yeah. And we were every bit as.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh. Because they need to know some time.
Thank you.
That were more there. If I would have thought about it, I would have worn one of my dresses and some of my stuff. I didn't even think about it.
Hi, Terry.
I knew I
This is
didn't.
so cool. I didn't know that.
Good
presentation. I know.
I got this from my granddaughter. I wanted to mention to you.
Good job.
yeah. Terry knows I was quiet.
And they are developing a special ministry, they call it Pacific Islanders Ministry Center. It'll be like a welcome center. So when they are developing that, we'd love to
I knew you guys were working on
communicate
this.
with you about that. It's over in the southeast part of the
I've
city.
driven by that.
Yeah, yeah. Now they're making part of it for a women's shelter, but the other part will be for Marshallese, Chuukese, Pacific Islanders.
Okay.
Did you meet Johannes?
Yes, I did. He's helping out.
Yeah, so when he comes back, he will help with
Okay.
that.
Okay.
So,
Thanks for
you would be
coming.
a great connection, you guys planning together, what can be helpful.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
All right, it's very informative.
Okay. They really do want you to take those.
Those are beautiful.
I have plenty, so. You did a wonderful job.
Absolutely.
And I learned so much today. I mean, I think I know a lot.
I learn something new every time too.
Oh,
So I
I
learned a
learned,
lot
I
more.
mean, this was just wonderful. You and I sometime are gonna go over to Ponca City and talk to them at the health board in Ponca City. Okay, okay.
You have,
This is my dear friend Karen, and she's heard me talk about you and,
We've known each other for years, and I really wanted to be here today because I knew next to nothing.
and she's the one who said, did you know about this today? And I said, actually I did, but, so.
It would be great if the whole nursing crew would have been here, because it really is good information.
I'm really offended by some of what you're.
Yes.
By what we've
And
done,
she worked
yeah.
on Indian nurses.